For one reason or another, I didn't get a chance to video any of my flights this summer. Oh, this is going to be the last flight of the season. It's mid-September, and we're headed out of Petersburg over to do some late summer, early fall chum salmon stream surveys, and be the last surveys of the season. It's an extremely low tide today. It's about a -2 or -3 foot tide. You can see the bottom as we're taxiing out of the seaplane base. The white things you see down there are sea anemones growing on the rocks, whatnot. I'm going to taxi out of the seaplane harbor here, take a left-hand turn, and taxi down towards the state ferry terminal to warm the engine up before takeoff. You look straight ahead, that mountain is called Petersburg Mountain. That's just right across Wrangell Narrows from Petersburg on Kupernoff Island, and the buildings you see over there at the bottom of it are part of the village of Kupernoff. The low pass just turning and coming into the center now is Petersburg Creek. That heads out to the west, and that's the direction we're going to go today, heading out towards Lower Admiralty Island. The mountain there just coming up into the center, just past the propeller, is Bear Claw Mountain. And there's another low pass just coming into view underneath the prop spinner now. That one goes across Lindenberg Peninsula from Petersburg over towards Duncan Canal, and that heads out to the southwest. That's the major pass, or one of the major passes coming in from the west into Petersburg. This is the north end of Wrangell Narrows. Right there just ahead of us where the shoreline is, it takes a hard 90-degree right turn and heads south until it opens up into Sumner Straits, about 30 miles south of us here. I'm starting my turn back to the northeast for takeoff, and you watch the spray pattern coming off of the floats of the airplane as we go from idle taxiing to takeoff. You'll see the spray pattern come back and increase and come back through the propeller disc. When it does, that causes a lot of erosion on the propeller, so I want to make that transition as quick, as smooth as possible. So Petersburg is going to be to the right of us. The first thing you see here is what they call the city dock, and Petromarine has their boat fuel facility there on that dock. The mountains you see off in the distance is the Alaska Range. Right at the tops of those peaks is the border between the United States and Canada. That is the mainland. Big building coming into view now is a fish processing plant owned by Ocean Beauty. It hasn't operated for several years and is for sale if anybody wants to get into the fish processing business. The next set of buildings coming into view is another fish processing plant, and that used to be Icicle Seafoods, and now it's OBI. Wrangell Narrows opens up into Frederick Sound, east part of Frederick Sound here, and we're going to make a left-hand turn and a left downwind and follow along Petersburg Mountain until we get over to the pass going up Petersburg Creek and head out to the west. You're going up Petersburg Creek here now. You can see it's low tide, and the stream is visible as it comes through the tidal flats. This is an estuary, and this area is what we call the intertidal area, or the tidal affected zone here. The tide comes in, and this will all be flooded at a high tide. Now, the weather conditions are just about perfect today. The water level has gone down and the water is cleared up from the big rainstorms we had earlier, and we can see the fish in the streams real well. The light conditions are perfect. So this is not the purpose of this trip, doing a fish survey of this stream, but because it's there, we're going to go ahead and do a quick ancillary stream survey here. As we go up through here, we can see fish in the stream, but most of them have done the deed and died and gone away. Well, we can still see a few down in there, but what we can see is what they call the redds, and redds are divots that the fish dig into the gravel bars and stuff to lay their eggs in. Those will get washed away as the rain comes by and stuff, but like this sandbar right here has redds on it that have gone dry because the water level has gone down since the fish spawned in it. But we can see those, we can still see fish down here. Now the fish that we're seeing down here are a combination of pink salmon, which is the primary species, and chum salmon. There's a few chum salmon in here too. And sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to tell between the two of them, but they're both there. At the upper end of Petersburg Creek is Petersburg Lake. The Forest Service has a cabin on this lake just straight ahead of the right-hand float right now. There's a little bump that sticks out there on this end of the lake, and the cabin is there. It's accessible either by air or a boardwalk that comes up from Petersburg, about 5 miles long. This lake is a sockeye salmon system, and we're going to do a quick stream survey of the sockeye stream up here. Now, the sockeye stream is not the one you think it is. It'd look like it'd be the one coming over the nose of the float right now, but actually the stream is coming right up underneath, dead center between the two floats, right underneath the wire there right now. So we're going to fly. Again, these fish are pretty much done. There's still fish in the stream spawning, but most of them have spawned and died and gone to heaven. But there's still fish there, so we're just do a quick survey of this stream, and then we're going to head on out to the west. So this valley bisects the eastern side of Kupernoff Island right here. We have Petersburg Creek that flows backwards from where we're at, and then this opens up into Portage Bay here. The stream flows down into Portage Bay, which opens up into the main body of Frederick Sound on the north side. You can see the mountain off in the distance. That's Cape Fanshawe over there, and then just past that, about 100 miles, is Juneau. Oh, we're headed out to the west towards the lower end of Admiralty Island and a little bay called Little Pybus Bay. Well, that's just about straight ahead of us. We're going to go right between these two little mountains, these two little hills right here just straight ahead of us, and just keep going across the north end of Kupernoff Island and then cross Frederick Sound over towards Admiralty Island. So we're coming across the north end of Kupernoff Island now. Cape Fanshawe is just disappearing on the right. That's Stevens Passage there on the right, and it heads up to Juneau. And this is Frederick Sound here we're just coming up on. Turn Mountain is right here, just right in front of the propeller spinner right now. And Admiralty Island is straight ahead of us. You see the low section just to the right of dead center is Pybus Bay. And that's not where we're going. We're going right to where that kind of little second hump is right there, and that's Little Pybus Bay. Well, this is Little Pybus Bay. It's Pybus Bay is just on the other side of that little peninsula, just to the right, just almost into view there. And this is Little Pybus Bay. We're flying in here looking for any chum salmon coming in out here in the saltwater, and then we're going to go ahead and fly up the stream and count fish going up in there. This is one of the major pink salmon streams also, but the pink salmon are all but done here now, and we're looking for the fall chums. It gets a late run of chums in here. This is one of 3 or 4 systems here that gets late chum salmon that we count. Because it has late chum salmon in it, it has brown bear in here. And as we were flying around in here, we did see, I think, 4 or 5 brown bear. There was a sow with 3 cubs and then a couple others that were fishing in the stream. So right down below us, right here in this section of the stream, is where that sow with her 3 cubs are. Unfortunately, you can't really see them with the video recorder the way it is, but trust me, they're there, and we don't want to land there right now. So we're going to come out of Little Pybus Bay here and finish on out. We're still counting fish here. We count them up and then count them back and then compare the numbers. And we're going to head out now over to Security Bay. So we're looking right now just at the direction we just came from. That's Kupernoff Island over there in the distance, and Turn Mountain right there just in center. Just to the right of center, that goes up into Kiku Straits and towards the little native village of Cake. Crossing Frederick Sound now. Admiralty Island is right here on the right of us, and that's QU Island here right straight ahead of us. Baranoff Island is in the distance, and we're coming out. Frederick Sound opens up into Chatham Straits right here. We're just coming into Security Bay right now. We'll fly around out here in the mouth of Security Bay out in Frederick Sound and Chatham Straits looking for fresh fish coming in. This is the northwest corner of QU Island right here. It's called Kingsmill Point. And again, we're looking for fish jumping. And then that's Baranoff Island over there on the other side. That's Chatham Straits there. And then the southwest corner of Admiralty Island just went by the nose of the airplane. So I'm going to go ahead and fly up into the bay here now, and we're going to look for fish moving in the bay. Any fresh jumpers or any schools of fish that we can see coming up into the bay itself. And then we'll head up the stream and do a survey up in the stream where the fish actually go to spawn. So there's a stream just right here, just ahead of us, that takes off to the left off of this estuary, and that is one of the main pink salmon spawning systems in this area. But we're not looking for pinks, and they're all dead and gone, so we're not even going to go up that stream to look at them. The chum salmon go up through this main little slough area right here, and sometimes there'll be quite a few of them right here just ahead of us, and then there's a real narrow spot that they go into, and then they go into a little lagoon up here, and the lagoon is the primary place, or the entrance into the lagoon. We're going to fly there, circle around that a couple of times and look and see how many fish are there, and then we're going to fly up the stream and count the fish in the stream up here. Now this stream up here also has pink salmon in it, and they're later into that stream, so there's still quite a few pink salmon in there, but that we're primarily looking for chum salmon here right now. There's not as many chum salmon in here as we expected, and we did fly up the stream, and we did see quite a few pink salmon, and there was chum salmon up in there spawning. But again, there wasn't near as many as what we expected to see in there, but that's the end of the season. There are no more of them. Now we're coming downstream now, headed back out. We're still counting fish here. Again, we count up and then back down again and compare the numbers. We'll take another quick look at the little lagoon here, and then we're going to turn and run through a little pass that runs between Security Bay and Rowan Bay as we head on south to the next spot. So we go down through Security Bay and Rowan Bay and then into Bay of Pillars and then cross over into Port Camden. And Port Camden is the next place that we count fish as the late chum salmon return. Unfortunately, the batteries don't last long enough to record the full flight here, so this will end as we're going through this pass down towards Rowan Bay.